All right, welcome back, friends. I hope everyone's had a great week, and I want to thank you for chiming in tonight because there's so much you could have been doing today, but you decided to spend your evening with me. So, thank you. Um, for those of you who do not know me, I am Javon. I'm a personal success strategist, and I provide tools and tips to help you design a life that is meaningful and purposeful to you. So, we started this 4-week intensive where we are starting our self discovery journey, right? And we're finding all the different things that make us who we are because it's hard to design a life that is purposeful to you when you really don't know who you are and what it is that you want, right? So we had to start from the beginning. So hopefully at the end of this 4 weeks, it is my hope that you will have discovered the things that you can center your life around, the things that are important to you, your values, and everything that makes you you, right? So that you have the clarity that you need, you have a sense of direction that you want to go into, and all of that by the end of this 4 weeks. So hopefully you brought a friend, brought snacks. Okay. I don't really eat on camera, but I do have my happy green cup, and tonight is grapefruit juice. Yeah, I didn't have any more that strawberry lemonade, so grapefruit juice. But I like grapefruit juice. It's okay. I'm the only one who drinks it, so I have all the juice that I want, right? But hopefully you got started on your journey with me last week, and if you did, that's great. So if you've already started or you want to introduce yourself in the chat, just put your name and let me know where you're calling from or chiming in from and all that good stuff. So that way we can connect. So let me know who you are. And if you're watching the replay, still let me know who you are because you are important and I want to know that you're watching, right? So just go ahead and put that in the chat for me. And if you started on the assignments for last week, let me know that as well. Okay. So let's see. Tonight, we're going to start with a recap from last week. So last week we were talking about, the question was, who am I? And we used the quote from Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland, right? And Alice was asking herself, who am I? That's the puzzle, right? And we talked about how she had went through so many different transformations that she started to question who she was. And that is very similar to how we go through life sometimes. Because remember, we talked about there's different phases that you go through self-discovery. You have that toddler age where you're just beginning to get to know who you are and that you can demand things. They love to say no, right? How do we always love to say no when we're younger, but then as we get older, no becomes very hard for us to say. So getting to know who they are as toddlers. Then we have that young adult, teenage discovery period where we're finding our likes, where or who we're going to connect with, like who our peers are going to be. What is it that we envision for our life to entail? So that is that period. And then you have another period where you go through self-discovery when you have so many transformations and it's like one phase of your life is starting to phase out and then you start to enter into a new phase, those transitions, right? Those transitional periods. And usually that's around your mid 40s. Now you can have other periods within that time of major discovery because of maybe life situations or something to that effect that has caused you to sit down and reevaluate some things, right? And so, but those are usually the general parts that we are looking at. So last week we defined who we were. We created our I am statements, right? Hopefully you're saying that every morning and that's confirmation. And then we ended the week with some more reflection, right? Because remember, you had an assignment. Your assignment was to go out and connect with 5 people either through text message or email, and say, hey, how do you see me, right? And then you're supposed to identify your superpower. So you had your superpower, you had your I am statements. So you built a great foundation last week. This week, we're taking a look at self-care, right? Putting ourselves first and how self-care is so important. But before we get started, I want to send a shout out to Asia. Asia was the first person who actually logged into the Mighty Networks and started her self journey. So thank you. And I want to congratulate you for taking that next step, because it's one thing to watch the videos, right? We talked about that. It's one thing to watch and to get all this knowledge and all that type of stuff. But what good is it if you don't execute it, right? So you have to put it into action. You can't have change if you don't put in the work, right? So that is what we're talking about moving forward. So if you want all that good stuff, all the awesome things that come with this process, you have to join the Mighty Networks, because that's where all the exercises and the extension projects are, okay? So if you see me looking back and forth, I'm trying to monitor my chat, okay? And I am also just kind of looking at my agenda for tonight. So we're going to talk about the self-care. We're going to talk about some 10 commandments. We're going to kind of go over our extension for this week. And then we're just going to wrap things up, okay? So you know how I am. I don't believe in keeping you more than 20 to 25, that 20, 30 minute phase, right? So we're just going to go ahead and jump right in and hit the ground running. So self-care. What do you think self-care is? What is your definition of self-care? If you have an idea of what self-care is to you, put that in the chat. I'm interested in knowing and what you think that might be. Let me know. Okay, so self-care, when I did some research on it, self-care is anything that you do that intentionally to take care of yourself, okay? That is what self-care is. So self-care has 4 different areas, okay? So because we're multifaceted, right? So we have our mental area, we have the physical, we have the emotional, and then we have the spiritual. So sometimes we might focus on one area and then all the other things get neglected, right? So, but in order for us to take care of our whole self, you need to address all 4 areas. And so that kind of brings us to what else I want to talk about, and it's about making ourselves a priority. Okay, so for me, it's very hard for me to put myself first sometimes, because it's so easy for me to put others first and to try to meet their needs. But I'm no good to no one else if I'm not taking care of myself, right? It's hard. So I have to learn to take time for me. And that's hard, because a lot of times we see self-care as being selfish. How dare you sit there, take care of yourself and do other things and worry about what you want to do and not take care of somebody else, right? But if I don't get the rest that I need, or if I am high strung, then I am like, if I'm dealing with the children, then that means I'm rude. I'm kind of rah rah. I call it rah rah. Best friend and I would be talking. We'd be like, "Ooh, I was rah rah today." And sometimes I could feel my crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's like I know I'm so out of control, and I can just feel it. Like I know I'm out of control, but there's nothing I can do to will myself back in. And it's usually because I have let things just get all crazy, right? I probably didn't I believe in naps. Naps are good for the soul. I believe in a nap. I may not have a nap that day, you know what I'm saying? Or I just been running from point A to point B, and then all the little stops in between, and I haven't even taken the time to breathe, right? So they are the recipients of my craziness at the end of the day, right? So you want to take time for yourself. And sometimes we make excuses. I find out that you make time for whatever is important to you. Whatever is a priority to you, you will find the time to do it. So, if you make time to go to work, don't you, right? Because that check is a priority to you. So it's very important to the things that you need to do. But we sometimes find excuses when it comes to us. We can make time for everything else. Nah, I'll just get to it later, or you rip and run all day, and then you look up, when did you take time? And sometimes we think self-care has to be so, I don't know, some complex, like you have to take time out for the massage, or that it's a sense of indulgence, right? Like it's only for those who have time and money for luxury, right? That's not necessarily true. It doesn't have to be time consuming. You can put as much or as little time as you feel that you need into that. Or maybe you need to schedule your day where you have moments throughout the day, right? Instead of just one big whole collective, right? So maybe it's just when you're in carpool, okay? Or take 5 deep breaths and just breathe. You will not know how much stress that relieves just when you just take a moment just to take 5 deep breaths, right? And just deep ones, and just let it all out, and all the tension and stuff just expels through your body. That didn't take time. That didn't take a lot of time at all, right? But if you have time or the funds to maybe go get your pedicure, like best friend does, she makes time, and I'm like, wow, I used to do that. She makes time every month or whatever her schedule is. She has a schedule. She's going to get that pedicure, and she's going to get her me time in for her facial and all her little stuff. And I used to be like, man, I remember when I used to go get my nails done. Remember, I would go get my hair done, and I didn't have a lot of money, but I would go to the beauty school. And the beauty school, they'll do your hair for a little bit of nothing, right? So so people thought I had money because I was getting my hair done every week. No, I was going to the beauty school. And, but the nails went, I don't have the nails no more. Then I used to, like I told you last week, I used to take time to buy a book. It doesn't have to be just physical things that you do to yourself too, because remember we said there was 4 areas. I used to take time, and every paycheck I will buy a book and just read. I just started reading again. Just taking it. Well, I read all the time, but outside of academics, right, where I actually read for enjoyment. And so that became something that I took for granted as well. So your 4 areas. And we also think that sometimes we think self-care is a one-time thing. Oh, I went on the retreat, I'm good. Oh, I came back, I'm rejuvenated, right? You feel good. Yeah, that was one time, but it has to be an ongoing thing. So because when you don't take care of your body's going to let you know that you're neglecting it somewhere, right? So you might as well go ahead and feed the body what it needs, because it's going to get what it needs. Either you're going to crash or you're just going to be irritable. Whatever it is, it's not healthy. So what I want you to do is think of your 4 areas, okay? The 4 domains, right? You have the emotional, you have the physical, you have the mental, and you have the spiritual, okay? Now, physical could be something as, it doesn't have to be going to the gym, but it could be just going outside and just getting that natural vitamin D. Rather than take the supplement, go outside and just breathe in the air for like 60 seconds. Just breathe in the air, soak in the sun, and try to clear your mind. I find that very difficult for me to do sometimes, but just try to clear your mind. And then that is physical, right? Or maybe it could be, I'm going to make healthier eating choices, right? Because eliminating some of that sugar out of your diet can also give you more energy, because contrary to what you think, that sugar doesn't really give you energy, right? It just gives you a boost, but then you end up crashing. So focusing on the physical. Maybe your mental is, like I said, reading my book, right? Or it could be something something that you do to release stress, because stress it can affect you physically, but it can also affect you mentally, right? It could be something that's getting more sleep. Then you have your emotional. Maybe you feeling like you need to socialize a little bit more, right? And with the limitations that we have right now, maybe you can't physically go and meet with other people, but I know you probably zoomed out, but right now it is the best thing that you can use to see people's faces that you can't see right now, like one-on-one, right? So make time to FaceTime, or just to hear the old fashioned, let me hear your voice. You know what I'm saying? Let me talk to you for a moment. So, or maybe socially, you might need to step away and put confinements and say no. It's okay to say no sometime, right? When you are sacrificing yourself or the things that you need to do, saying no sometimes is beneficial. Okay, it's called self-preservation, right? Preservation. I couldn't even say it. What the world? Then the last thing you have is spiritual. Now, if you, that can be, I want to meditate, okay? Because that is clearing your mind and getting rid of toxic thoughts and things of that sort. So that way you can be at peace. It can be reading your devotionals or scriptures or praying, whatever it is that brings you spiritual peace, right? So those are the things that you want to do. You have those 4 domains. So what I want you to do for tonight or tomorrow, I would like for you to sit down and think about those 4 areas. Now, remember, I told you I don't believe in doing a whole lot of stuff. One thing in one area, because we want to be successful. And when you pick too many things, you set yourself up for failure, right? Because there's only so much you can do. And then you start setting yourself up for disappointment and discouragement. So we're only going to pick one thing in each area. Okay? One thing. And if you can't do all 4 of those things in a week, choose one thing to start off this week. The next week, add the second thing. Okay, and then you can just build up to it. But the whole purpose is that way we eventually address all 4 areas. Okay, then I want you to take it one step further. I want you to create what I call your 10 commandments. Okay, the 10 commandments for your self-care. And with that, you're going to say what it is that is important to you. Like, I will set boundaries. I will take time for myself every morning. Whatever it is it may be. But these are your 10 commandments. So these are your non-negotiables. And these are the things that you're going to put into your at the end of this week, you're going to create a self-care plan. And your self-care plan could be something as simple as just a morning routine, right? Or a daily routine. It could be, because remember, in the past, I've talked about how it's important to plan your week, right? So you start like Sunday and then you plan your week. Well, if you're doing that, it's easy to find spots that you can put your self-care in. So everyone has at least 5 minutes. You may not can find an hour, but you can find 5 minutes, okay? Find 5 minutes a day that you're going to dedicate to you and your self-development, your self-peace, the things that make you happy, okay? So the quote for this week was, do what makes your soul happy, right? And, but sometimes we're going to talk about that next week, because what is happiness to you? You know what I'm saying? So that is a good prelude into next week. So what I want you to do, what is your takeaways for this week? We make time to do whatever is important to us. Friend, you have to remember that you are important. Make yourself a priority. But the only way that you're going to be able to do that is if you have that mindset that I am worth it. I am worth putting myself first, because you are no good to no one else if you aren't taking care of yourself. If you're not taking care of yourself, you're not going to have the energy that you need to be of service to someone else. You're not going to have the mental capacity to deal with someone else's stress or to help them to do whatever it is they need to do if you haven't taken care of yourself mentally. Physically, if you aren't taking care of yourself, as far as maybe it could be something like, if you're diabetic, come on, man. I know it's tasty, all right, but maybe not. You can't do those things that you used to eat, or eat those things you used to eat anymore, because when that throws off your balance, you can't be of service to someone else, right? So think about all those different things, and how what is that saying that no man is an island to themselves, right? We're all dependent on each other. And if one link is broken, that chain, that's you, right? Then the rest of the chain can't connect. So let's make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, okay? So we make time to do whatever it is that's important to us. Make yourself a priority. Find one thing to do that you want to incorporate for self-care in those 4 domains that we talked about earlier, okay? Then take it one step further. Your extension for this week is to do the 10 commandments, right? These are the things that are your non-negotiables for your self-care, okay? Then the last thing I want you to do is I want you to reflect on that and think about how you're going to incorporate those. We're not talking about those all 10. We're not talking about that. But how are you going to incorporate your me time into your schedule? Okay. So that's your assignments for this week. Now, remember, for the articles and all the different extensions and all that type of stuff, all that is in the Mighty Networks. So if you've already downloaded that app, it's free. You can access it on Android and on Apple. Okay. If you downloaded that app, then you have everything at your disposal, right? That's where all the good stuff is at. If you haven't started already and you're kind of trying to catch up, it's okay. Self-journey is self-discovery and self-improvement. It's an ongoing journey, right? Just take the time to start doing what you need to do, so that way you can get caught up. Okay. So that's our week 2. Next week, the topic is This Is Me, right? And we are talking about breaking free. This is me. Oh man. Hey, if you haven't listened to anything yet, next week, you want to make sure you're here, because I might go a little bit past the 20 minutes on that one, because that's some good stuff next week. Okay. This is me. We're talking about breaking free of the limitations and the confinements that others have put on us and society has put on us, and letting our true selves come free and being confident and comfortable with that. Okay, so we're going to talk about that next week. So if you like this journey, this lesson, and you want to join us on this journey, then subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. That notification bell lets you know when something new is posted. Okay, and then visit my website, www.sparknuniversity.com. Okay, and then you can register for the challenge there, well, for the intensive there, and then you can also find some different things there that will help you with your personal performance. Okay, so that would be in the Kindling portal, and you can find those different things. So I just want to once again thank you for joining me for tonight, because there's so much you could have been doing, but you decided to spend your evening with me. So thank you so much, friend. And don't forget to put yourself first and make yourself a priority. So choose today to start living your life boldly, passionately, and purposefully. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.